Well, beautiful people, best damn nation. It's a beautiful day in Zamunda. Welcome to the Best Damn Wrestling Podcast. I am your humble host, Brian Renegade, and with me, I have the best damn crew. First of all, I have one of the most dangerous men in America. If you see him on a dark alley, run. He will beat you up in front of your girlfriend, steal your car. He is the green-eyed bandit. He's the usual suspect for every crime. He fights people. He bites people. He's your mama's favorite wrestler, and he can whoop. Yo, daddy has the one and only maniacal Roosevelt. What's happening?
Now I ain't biting nobody in a very long time. You trying to make me out like Mike Tyson or something? No Diddy, bro. I'm not biting nobody. What up, B? What's going on, B? What's going on, man? How you feeling?
Oh man, I feel blessed and highly favored, my friend. Thank you for asking. Look, we got more than a special guest in here today. Some would consider this man to be royalty. I'm gonna go ahead and let you do the due diligence and introduce the king.
Absolutely. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is election season, right? This is election season, and we are being cheated. We're being cheated because Kenny King is not on the election panel. He's not in. His name is not up there. This man's name needs to be up there. We need to be voting for Kenny King for president of the United States for 2024. The man has done it all in professional wrestling. So what is next for him? President of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Best Damn Wrestling probably presents to you one of the greatest superstars I've had the esteemed pleasure to have met in my career. I first met him when he was part of Ring of Honor. He was a chop it up. He's giving me some really great advice. He's now part of TNA Wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Kenny King. What up, bro?
Yo, all of that is true except for the TNA Wrestling part. But
you know,
oh no, man, it's been almost a year. Yeah, I mean, I guess that means he don't watch TNA.
Man, listen. What is wrong with them?
It's been on. That's a whole.
Oh, we're gonna dig into it. We're gonna dig into it. We're gonna figure out what's going on. Well, ladies, for those who don't know who Kenny King is, give them a brief rundown of the man, Kenny King.
Oh, you're talking about me. I mean, Kenny King is a 23-year professional wrestling veteran. I was trained initially on national television on WWE Tough. I was a finalist on Tough Enough after being Tough. So I guess that means I was trained by Al Snow, Bob Holly, Chavo Guerrero, and Ivory. After I left Tough Enough, I found a wrestling school. So around that time, this was right after the first stuff, and this is my cat being in shape. Whenever I do one of these podcasts, she feel like she got to come and get her little cameo. So she doing what she normally do. This was right after the first Tough Enough, and a lot of them cats had been taking, bookings, but they'd only really been wrestling from Tough Enough, so they didn't know what they were doing. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing at the end of Tough Enough, so they're taking bookings, indie bookings, and stinking up the joint, and basically it was a name, all the Tough Enough kids, they don't, they don't respect the game, blah 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 blah. So I trained for a year after Tough Enough because I wanted to be able to know what I was doing. Right, Tough Enough provided a really good base, but I didn't really know what I was doing. And found a school here in Vegas, who's one of the main trainers was a guy named Cowboy Scott Casey, who was Booker T's trainer, and was very fortunate that toward kind of he kind of broke his wrestling retirement, but Nick Bockwinkel would come by and train us on promos and things like that. And so being able to have that kind of pedigree in this business is crazy. And so, that led to Ring of Honor, multiple stints in Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion 3 times over, 2-time Ring of Honor World Television Champion, 2-time X Division Champion for my stints in Impact. So New Japan Pro Wrestling, CMLL, yeah, your boy's been around.
Your boy has been around for sure. Now, I'm gonna let Brian do it, because I know Brian's got a question for you that he's been itching to ask. So I'm gonna let Brian go ahead and drop that question on you, because I'm sure
I got a couple. But
Okay.
I want to go back to the time with Tough Enough, man. Take us through that mentality of wanting to try that competition for the first time, because that's not an easy thing to just go from being green to just jumping on TV. So take us through that transition of what made you want to do Tough Enough.
I was playing ball. I was playing football at University of Florida, and I remember watching the first Tough Enough with my homies in the dorm, and all of us are wrestling fans, and watching this is the first time, people watching people jump rope and learn how to run the ropes and jump bags and doing all that, and the whole way I'm like, man, I could do that, man. Man, I could do that, man. They got these suckers up here, bro. If they only, I bet you they never let me do nothing like that, get an opportunity to do nothing like that. Just, running mouth and just enjoying it, right? Because it's the first of its kind. Nobody had ever gotten a peek behind the wrestling curtain like that before. So fast forward, I ended up transferring out to UNLV. Very long story short, my transcripts are held by my previous athletic director. I can't play ball at UNLV. I got a forfeit year eligibility. So I'm just going to school. And I'm going to school, and I open up the student newspaper, and it's a big old 1-page ad. Are you tough enough? And I feel like that's God saying, "Put your money where your mouth is, boy." Now you was talking all that mess. Here's your opportunity. So I said, I feel like the worst promo of my entire career, but for whatever reason, I got picked. The auditions were here. And then, that's kind of how the whole thing happened. Like, it wasn't like I was like, oh, I want to be a pro wrestler, but it was like, well, damn, here's Tough Enough. Let me give it a shot.
Absolutely, man. What does your family think about you wanting to get into wrestling? Like, were they gung ho for it? Like, oh man, yeah, that'll be good, or did he not understand the whole wrestling thing?
I went from playing college football to not playing college football to now like wrestling, and like in the very beginning, the places that and things like that. Especially when you invite your family. I can remember my dad saying to me, "This is what you traded football for." I'll never forget. This is what you traded football for. You got to wrestle in these smoke-filled rooms for your rest of your life. And I was like, well, I didn't really trade. This is how it happened, right? Shit happens. And so it was. And I tell my students now, man, like, nobody really is going to understand your girlfriends, your friends, your family, your mom, your dad. This is what you want to do. Then it's going to it's not something. Once you get bit, you're bit. That's it. It's a wrap. So it was. I'll never forget. It's also like, this is quite some time later. But my dad was in sales, and I get a phone call. I need you to come over to the house. So I head over to the house. It was like, client, I need you to sign these 8x10s. I was like, oh, the guy you want me to sign 10s? The guy who was racing his life wrestling. So that's just one of the things. It's full circle, right? Like, the guy who was like, man, you could be doing so much other things with your life. Why are you doing this? Which I can understand as a father, right? Like, I don't want my daughter getting into pro wrestling. So I completely understood why. Now as a father, I understand why. But back then I was just like, bro, you do what you do. I'm going to do what I do. And it was just a full circle moment to sign autographs for his clients when he used to tell me I was crazy.
So now as a father, right? And do you have boys, girls?
I got one girl.
One girl. Would you let your daughter get into the wrestling business?
No, absolutely not. No. She would have to be phenomenal one, and absolutely obstinate about it. Like it would have to, it would be it's going to ruin our relationship. But other than that, hell no. I
Oh
wouldn't
man,
have. I
you don't
wouldn't.
want her to be a legacy.
Nah.
The Charlotte Flair.
Nah, this man, it's a hard road that I wouldn't wish on anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a road that, you know, I don't know if I'd wish it on my worst enemy. It's got incredible highs, unfathomable lows. It's an amazing. I always call it like it's a beautiful, amazing, grimy, disgusting, terrific business all in one bite. You know, and I just wouldn't wish that kid. I think she'd do a lot better things with her neck and spine than.
Oh man, I understand that. Man, so talk about making that transition right from Tough Enough in WWE to having to find other work. Right? How long was it before you got with TNA?
I mean, it's years, man. Like I didn't know nothing when I left, Tough Enough. Like I didn't win, and I can remember being like, all right, well, they know. I mean, the things Tough Enough. There was a place called WWF New York. I don't know if you remember that venue they used to have up in Manhattan, but we did it live there. And obviously, I didn't win, and I remember going straight to the bar. Like, man, I'm about to get wrecked up in here. I'm 20 years old. I'm trying to. That's how I'm processing. Comes over to me as I'm kind of at the end of the bar, obviously not very happy, and he comes over to me and he's like, "Look, you should shake that shit off. Everybody knows you're the best one, but this is just politics." And I was like, all right, well, that's a little bit of consolation. So at that point, I was like, nah, man, I know I got a job. And I remember they came to, I think Raw was in Vegas, and I was like, oh man, let me get a dark match. I got to get, this is when you were getting, they had dark matches. But Al, who's my trainer, Al Snow was like, you're not ready, man. You're not ready. And I remember being so mad. Like, what you mean? And I wasn't. I wasn't ready. He to this day he's my wrestling dad, and you only get one chance to make a first impression, right? So that was not the one that I'm sure that he wanted me to make, or myself. If we're going back and think about it, I wouldn't want to make that impression so early on in my career when I wasn't ready. So, man, I hit the indies, baby. Like I said, I trained for a year before I took any indie bookings. I wrestled in a warehouse every Friday back behind the Rio Casino, where 50 people, 54 people, if you were lucky, was a sellout. And whether it was 100 degrees outside or whether it was 30 degrees outside, we was in there every Friday doing free shows, honing our craft. And then about a year later, when I felt like I was ready, I started taking the indie bookings in California, and then Utah and Arizona, and then just started kind of making my little indie loop. The beginnings of PWG and some of the other West Coast based like UPW with Rick Bassman and Cena and Christopher Daniels and Samoa Joe. So all there's just kind of making this little loop, and then I figure that it's at that point, man, everything was on the East Coast. CCW, Ring of Honor, the ECWA, Super 8, all of these things that at that point FIP was getting hot. So all of these things is happening on the East Coast, and it's just not. It's not what it turned out to be on the West Coast now, but it's far from that. So I made a decision to Florida. There may or may not have been a woman involved also. Florida.
They do that to you, don't they? They make you move, make you uproot yourself, put you in a whole new place.
That one may or may not have been a good idea, but it was a great idea because that's how I got my baby. But other than that, So yeah, that's how I end up, working the indies in Florida. That's how I end up meeting Sal and FIP and Gabe, Ring of Honor. But how I got to TNA the very first time I was at TNA was a girl that I was on Tough Enough with, a girl named Jess Ward, who's now actually married to Tommaso Ciampa. Jess Ward was one of my roommates on Tough Enough. And I remember going to Universal. I can't remember who had said, "Hey man, just come to Universal and just shake some hands and blah blah blah." I can't remember. Maybe it was an extra gig or whatever. But I'm backstage during the early teen days. This is before they were even on Spike. So this is like the Wednesday nights on Fox, Fox Sports days, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not Wednesdays, maybe Thursdays, but this is right before Spike TV. And I'm just kind of backstage, and Jess is walking by with a clipboard. I'm like, what is this girl doing here? And so we kind of reconnect, and she hooks me up with Raven, I think it was. She's like, oh, this is like, let's see if we can use him in something. And my very first televised appearance in person other than Tough Enough was Raven smashing me in the head with a trash can. And, that's kind of how that started. And then I got in with Terry Taylor, and I would come back in, and I did a pretty long string of jobs, right? Like I got to wrestle like Ron Killings, the Dudley Boys, Monty Brown. I think I got to wrestle Jeff Jarrett and somebody else. I got to wrestle New Age Outlaws. Like, so it was keeping me around, but not signing me or really giving me anything. Like, this is a funny story, and I always tell him this when I see him. So Scott D'Amore is like Jeff Jarrett's number 2 at this point, and so I'd been coming around for a while at this point, like I'm saying. So I see Scott coming out, and I'm like, hey Scott, listen, man, I really appreciate the opportunity that you've given me. All the spots, all the shots, but I really feel like if you give me an opportunity to do a little bit more, I can be very valuable. Just let me show you what I can do. And he says, man, Kenny, I can tell you that we had a conversation about you not too long ago, and it just seems like we're just not quite sure what to do with you because we don't think that you're quite big enough to be the heavyweight division, but you're way too big to be in the X division. And as if on cue, here comes Joe walking out with the X division belt. Well, looks at me. Joe at all of like 290 pounds, right? Looking at me, looking at Scott. What's up, guys? So I'm looking at Joe, and I look at Scott, and Scott looks at Joe, and he knows I'm burning a hole in the side of his face, and he's just like, he looks at me, he's like, all right, well, good talk, man. So that's kind of when I was like, all right. And not too long after that, did I get an opportunity at Ring of Honor, and then that's where I signed my first deal was Ring of Honor.
Absolutely, man.
Real quick. I don't know if you remember this picture right here. I'm gonna show it really quick.
I feel like that is Shenanigans. WrestleMania.
Yes. Okay. So that was down in Dallas. We went to the Kevin Nash party that he didn't show up to. Yeah. But from the moment I met you, and I mentioned this early on, we was at Ring of Honor, you was always that guy that always wanted to help everybody that was trying to get a spot because, like you just said, you knew what it was like trying to do everything you could for someone to notice you. And I remember we walked to the store. You and I went to the store, and we came back and we were sitting outside the 2300 Arena. It was a Ring of Honor show, and we was chopping it up, and he was like, yo, man, I want you to do everything you can to get here. And you said to me, and it resonated to me for a very long time. He was like, I want you to come and take my spot. He said, because if you come and take my spot, that makes me work harder. If you can come take it, come get it. But I'm not gonna make it easy for you. I'm gonna make it hard for you. But if you can come get it, come get it. And that always resonated with me, like, yo, this dude is as real as can be, because anybody else was like, yeah, man, take me to the store and then walk off and be done. You know, but you actually took the time out for a bunch of us. It won't just me, just sit down and just like, yo, this is what you need to do, man. And I feel like you need to do this or go this way or go that way or this like that. So I want to say thank you very much, bro, from the bottom of my heart, from Jump Street. And yeah, this was 2 years ago down in Dallas. We was hitting there out. And it was fun, man. It was fun.
I was bent, but I wasn't that lit. I remember I was getting there, but that's the point of remembering.
Oh, man. So so with that being said, man, and then you mentioned earlier that Al Snow was one of your wrestling dads. I I know that you've had some influence on some people. So, do you have any wrestling children or people who consider you to be a wrestling dad to them?
Yeah, man. I guess at this point, I mean, that blows my mind, man. It really does. Like, I was teaching class on Wednesday, and not Wednesday, Tuesday, and one of my students was like, it's a newer kid, and he was like, "Yeah, man," because I hadn't seen him. He'd been on like 2 or 3 days. So we have a rotating coaches. So I was like, "Well, what day is this for you?" He's like, "It's my third day." I was like, "All right, well, cool. Welcome in. You know, we'll do what you can do." And I was like, "I'm Kenny," and he says, "Man, I know who you are, man. I've been watching you since I was 8." And so
Wow.
that used to trip me out, right? Like people used to say, "Oh man, I've been watching you," because I'm like, "Man, what you mean?" But when I think about it, when I look at this kid, he's probably 22, 23 years old.
Yeah.
That tracks. He probably was watching me when you were 8, which now it's like, well, I guess that's just a testament, man, to how long I've been doing this and how far reaching what I have done has been, right? So I feel like my Obi-Wan Kenobi, like I call him my Padawan, is a guy who's got just unlimited amounts of potential. Um, I'm just like, I'm so proud of this kid. Like he's such a damn star, and as long as he continues on the path he's going, um, he's just gonna be the man. And he's none other than the ultimate finesser, your boy Chris Bay. Uh,
Mm.
Chris Bay, I started with Chris Bay pretty early on. Taught him how to throw his first drop kick. Um, there's a Chris Bay story where that we tell, and he tells too, which I dig, where he asked me during class one day. He's like, "All right, man. So this is when Bullet Club was killing it." He's like, "Man, how do I get some Bullet Club merch?" And I looked at him and I said, "Bullet Club merch." He's like, "Boy, you better worry about how to get some Chris." He was going on a Chris Strong and then, and I was like, "You better worry about how to get some Chris Strong merch. Don't worry
There you
about
go.
getting somebody to buy Bullet Club merch. Find 10 people to buy some Chris Strong merch." And 3 or 4 years ago, the whole thing comes full circle where Chris Bay has Bullet Club merch. You know what I'm saying? And so that's just one of the dope things that I feel like wrestling's been able to give back to me, right? To see this kid who just wanted some Bullet Club merch get his name on Bullet Club merch. That's just incredible. Chris Bay. She's another very talented lady. Her name is Maserati. She's been around a lot of places. It's a bunch of my guys, man. A guy named Shogun. Um, there's another group of guys who I really have taken under my wing in the last year. Guys named Lights Camera Faction, Ice Williams, Joe Braxton, and Fresco Matic and Watson. Man, those 4 dudes. Those are guys that I really got my hands on, and those are guys that are going to really make some noise. Um, I had my hands on Kevin Cross. I had my hands on Zoe Stark. There's a lot of people that pass through FSW that I've had my hands on. But those are the ones that I feel like got to answer to me if they mess up.
Let it be known, King. Let it
No,
be
they
known.
know. Trust me, they know. They know.
Yeah, let it be known. Well, I have to admit, because I've been watching you since I was 8 years old. I didn't even know it until I figured it out. But man, you were a part of this iconic show that I grew up on Nickelodeon called My Brother and Me. And I love that show. I always thought that show got canceled way too early. And for me, it wasn't a lot of me on TV. You know what I'm saying? So me seeing young kids on Nickelodeon of all crazy, man, I thought that was a great show and a little bit ahead of its time, man. Can you talk about your time being on that show?
Man, this is what I want to say about My Brother and Me, first and foremost. My Brother and Me ran for one season in like 1994. And you have people who are our age and around our age who this is so much a part of their culture, so much a part of what they remember. Oh man, I remember My Brother and Me. I remember, and almost 30 years later, it's like, who knew that this show that got canceled way too soon, and I'll tell a story about that, would resonate with so many people still so many years later. It's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
So I've been I was a kid actor. I used to get my act on. I was doing commercials and I was on Clarissa Explains It All and Welcome Freshmen and Snick commercials. Oh, You're Afraid of the Dark. So I was probably on a lot of different things if you watched Nickelodeon in the '90s, you probably saw. Like I was on the Temple, or the pilot edition of Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Mm-hmm.
I did motion capture for the Super Nintendo Guts game. My little 9-year-old Kenny face is still on it. So there's a lot.
You lived my
I've been on your
dream,
TV.
sir.
I've been on your TV your whole life.
Yeah, you lived my dream. I remember all those shows. I'm like, you was on Temple?
I did the pilot episode before OMAC even worked. It was just the guy standing by him, and they was trying to get the mouth and the. So I was a green monkey way back in the day.
Oh man, OG Green Money.
The first green monkeys. So that's kind of how that happened. It was just a thing, and that actually, so the episode that I was on was actually the pilot episode of My Brother and Me. So that's the episode that got the show bought. And so what was supposed to happen was that was filmed as the last episode of the season, and I was supposed to be brought back as a main character in the second season. And somehow in between this and that, it got canceled. But yeah, I was actually going to middle school with Amanda Seales at that time. Like I've known Amanda Seales there my whole life. And it's just crazy how that show still, people still talk about that show to this day. Bananas.
Yeah, man.
Do you still keep in contact with anybody from those days?
Me and Alfie still talk on Facebook or on the gram every now and then. Like he lives in LA and he's LA. Boy, let me tell you. LA. Oh, what up, cuz? You know what I'm saying? What up, cuz?
OG, triple OG.
Every now and then, like I haven't seen him in a couple years, but he pops in every now and then in Vegas. But we keep up on the gram. I haven't spoken to Jimmy Goo in maybe a decade. He hit me up. Man, I think it was like right after I think it was like some basically when I got back to Impact on Spike, he was like, "Why am I seeing you on TV?" And that was it. Amanda and I don't talk no more, but that's a whole nother story.
Man, you don't want to mention that story? Is it
Nope.
juicy? Okay, I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it alone.
No.
I'll leave it be. Oh man.
So your time in the Ring of Honor, you've been part of a bunch of different things, but one of the biggest things that I remember to date is the cabinet. You guys did this entire presentation, man. Like the whole presentation is everything, and the cabinet gave you presentation. Like it was, like I mentioned earlier, you're supposed to be the president of the United States for 2024, and that was the whole gimmick with that whole entire thing. Run us through that and tell us how that whole concept came to be.
There's basically come down from down high that we're going to put a 6-man tag division together, and Rhett and I. So I had just come back to Ring of Honor, and Rhett and I had reunited, and it was going really well, but it was just kind of, we were just, it was us, the Briscoes, War Machine, the Young Bucks, Frankie and Chris, Shane and Keith Lee. So we're in a dead heat as far as like a tag team race, right? And at that point, they were literally only tossing the titles back and forth between the Bucks and the and the Guns were there too. So like there was only we're having crazy ass tag matches between all of these teams, but they're only really keeping the Bucks and the Guns, or the Bucks and the Briscoes on top, which, shout out to Jay Briscoe forever. So they're like, all right, we're gonna do a 6-man 6-man division so that we can maybe kind of tighten up some of that log jam. So I'm not even sure how Caprice got involved, but I was like, you know what, that's a good look. I like that. and I think I want to give the credit to Rhett Titus because I don't think that Make Wrestling Great came from me, uh, based off of the climate at the time, right? So I don't think that was something that I was rocking with, but I believe he had sold. It's like, man, we could. This is because, but this was the kicker, right? It was a thing that we had to start, crescendo, and finish by the elections. Because if it was not done by the elections, it had overstayed its welcome, and it would be whack and blah. So that was like, all right, well, let's do it, right? Like it's very like, you know, current events. Kurt Angle actually bit our style because we was the first ones with Make Wrestling Great Again. But you know, Kurt Angle can bite your style, I guess. Um, and so that was the whole thing. It was like, all right, if we're gonna do this, we want to make it as obnoxious and as much of a spectacle as we can, because we needed to get people, because the whole idea was for it to turn into something a little bit more violent, a little bit more like a little more gritty. And so it worked for a while. People kind of hated it, which is fine. That was a good idea. But the problem was they didn't have a definitive, like we were like, yo, and I think there was a pay-per-view. It might have even been like, what do we do later in the year? Like Survival of the Fittest, or one of the pay-per-views that we do later on in the year, Ring of Honor. We're like, all right, let's blow this off, Survival of the Fittest, and he didn't have any plans. So it went for like a month, maybe even 2 months, maybe even into the new year as the Cabinet. And at that point, like, there was no steam behind it. Like, it's just like, we're all like, man, what the hell? So it was a fun thing to do because it was loud. Oh man, we would take a knee. We would take a knee at the Code of Honor, right? Like, they would come shake our hands, and then we take a knee. We protest the Code of Honor.
Man.
Oh, they was mad. Oh, they was
Y'all hit him with the Kaepernick.
oh, so we were doing stuff like that, right? Like whatever was current and pressing the buttons of people. Oh, we was with it. So that was the fun part about it.
If you were able to form a team or a faction right now, who's on your roster? Give me like two guys and a lady.
Can I give you 2 guys, a lady, and a manager?
Absolutely.
That's even better.
Give me, and I don't want to pull her away from what she's doing because she's doing good, but give me Trish Adora, and just bring me back to, just reunite me, my boys. Give me P, Bobby, and Shelton, and it's over with.
Did you say P, Bobby, and Shelton?
Yeah.
Okay.
That almost sounds like hurt business-ish. Hurt syndicate, you know, hurt somebody, you know what I'm saying?
I hear that that somebody just trademarked that just recently. So
okay. I dig that, man. I dig that. That would be a mean ass faction, man. Y'all be kicking everybody's ass.
Because Trish is really killing it out here right now. Trish is
like,
for someone to not really pick her up really big. She's been killing it for years. And whatever's going on with Bobby and MVP and Shelton Benjamin, I don't understand. I
mean, you know, it's there's no reason why, if you tell me that the Hurt Business carried a global organization during the pandemic, that they shouldn't have had a Bloodline style run. Bloodline's been on 6 years now, 5-6 years.
Yeah.
So why didn't Hurt Business have a 5-6 year run?
Listen, I was so upset when they broke up the Hurt Business because I had just bought a damn shirt. I had just bought a shirt, and then the next week they broke up, and I couldn't understand why. And for some reason, they kept the Hurt Business away from the Bloodline at the time, which I wanted to see them feud, but
make the money, money. Right?
But that's the first time that I've seen men of color, right, at the top of the industry, at the top of the card, in two dominant factions doing it like that, man. So hats off to all those people. But I wanted to see more from Bobby and especially P, man. I thought he was going to stay around for a while with Almost and try to do some things. But I think that he has an unsung story too, and he is a Miami legend in him in itself. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
can you talk about the wrestling scene down in Florida, man? Florida got a pretty decent wrestling scene. I know you're in Vegas right now too. I'm on the West Coast myself. I'm in Phoenix, so I know they have they have a wrestling scene that's starting to burgeon here, and they got WrestleMania in Vegas next year.
Mhm.
But can you talk about the Florida scene in wrestling? Because you have wrestling cities, right? And I know that North Carolina is one, and Florida is one as well. So can you talk about the wrestling scene in Florida?
I mean, I can't speak to it too much right now, right? But when
Right.
I was in it, much like everywhere else, you got your levels of shows, and you got C level shows, B level shows, and A level shows, and then you have guys trying to bust their hump to get to the next level of shows to get seen. Orlando was always, Orlando, Tampa area was there was a FIP used to run in a place called Crystal River, where I used to say, man, there's more. There's more. It was more seats than teeth in the building. Um, but they would get in there and they'd pack that house in Crystal River. They'd pack the house in Brooksville, which is another place outside of St. Pete. Um, go down like around the Miami area. There was a guy who was a Haitian guy named the Falcon, as a matter of fact, who was running shows at the Davie PAL, which is right outside of Miami. For that was like there were like Haitian community shows and big shows where literally all these kids would come out. So it was it was just like everywhere else, right? I feel like every state has got it's almost the exact same scene where you've got a guy, one promoter who feels like because he runs bigger shows, he can tell other people where to wrestle and where he can't wrestle. You've got guys that are just running, you know, bootleg shows with bootleg rings and bootleg people just to get people in the door. And then you've got people that are beefing over dates and talent and all that other kind of stuff. And then you got about out of all of that, you have about 5 or 10 guys who are in it to win it, and those are the guys that you'll be seeing on Mondays and Wednesdays and Sundays.
Absolutely. Real quick. So you've worked for Sinclair Group, you worked for Scott D'Amore, and you worked for WWE. If they all were to call you right now, who are you putting your stake in with the confidence that they will be able to take care of you the way you need?
I mean, if they all called me right now,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I feel like I haven't had an opportunity to showcase what I can do on the biggest stage. I feel like I have built enough of a foundation. I feel like I've built enough of a reputation where whether I can deliver in the ring isn't even a question. So I feel like being able to do that amongst, what they consider the best and being in the machine. So WWE would be my choice at this point because I just, I feel like that is where I guess those 3 letters kind of validate your existence in professional wrestling. So that would be for that so that I could apply where I am right now, which I think is as probably about as good as I've ever been to at this stage in my career to go there and be this good and show everybody that I've been this good all along would be pretty dope.
Scott has a company. He's just starting to get off the ground in Canada.
Maple Leaf.
Any aspirations of being able to work out there?
Like with every company, man, I just want to see how it goes, right? I'm happy it's another place where the boys can get a job, will get a payday. I'm happy that there's another place, that will be professional wrestling because, Scott D'Amore don't play around. Scott D'Amore knows pro wrestling. Scott D'Amore knows how to deliver good wrestling to fans. He understands matchups. He understands the wrestling game. So it won't be rinky dink. it'll be something that fans will definitely enjoy. And as it gets successful, and there's only one show I think planned for right now, and how many promotions have run one show exactly. So I wish them the best, man. I have no beef with Scott at all. I like Scott. Scott gave me an opportunity and an impact when Ring of Honor imploded. So I wish all those guys the best. My young youth, Sheldon Jean, the Canadian gangster, he's going to be on one of those shows. So good to see what he does.
Awesome. Go ahead, Bill.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, I'm gonna dig back into your acting bag a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Not sure if it was quite acting or not, but you were on a show, a worldwide phenomenon, man, called The Bachelor, if I'm not mistaken. Can you talk about your time being on that show?
So I was on The Bachelorette, and then I was also on Bachelor in Paradise. So I got two of them things on.
Two bachelors, yeah. Two chicks.
I got two of them things. The Bachelorette, man, was a dope experience. I got a phone call one day. So I'm old school. So back in the day, you could get a phone call at any moment being like, "Hey, this is Vince McMahon. I need you to get in your bag and drive." And the boys rib you at any point. So I've been conditioned to this, right? Yeah. So I get a phone call one day. It's a 310 area code, LA. I don't recognize the answer. "Hey, is this Kenny?" "Yep." "Hi, this is XYZ from ABC. Would you ever consider being on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette?" I know somebody's ribbing me. So my very first, response is, "I'm black, right?" And there's silence at that end. Open silence. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So what do you mean? What do you need? And that's kind of how it started, man. It was a process. It definitely was a process to get on it. But it was a very dope experience. I mean, there's guys that I still talk to this day. There's a group of us that we still like really tight, being able to travel all over the world. And man, like, it's as culturally relevant as pro wrestling in its own corner of the planet. You know what I mean? Like, there's still people who recognize me from The Bachelorette. There's still, people that want to ask me questions about The Bachelorette. What about this? What about this? Is it really like this? So it's it was as important, I feel like, to my relevance as Tough Enough or anything else that I did. So it was a really dope experience. Obviously I didn't find love, but it's all good.
Did you want to win the show? Did you want to win?
I was open to the opportunity, right? I did not. So I'd never seen an episode. So when they called me, it was like, "Hey, we want you to do this." I called my mom. I'm like, "Mom, can you do me a favor and like watch some episodes of The Bachelorette to see if I should do this or not?" She's like, "What?" I just like watch like 2 episodes and see if I should do it. And then, so she called me back. She's like, "Are you crazy? Like, is this what you want to do?" But I'm like, "I don't know," because I don't watch the show. I know what it's about, but I don't really know. I'm honestly in my brain, I'm thinking it's like, okay, it's like Love Tough Enough, right? Like we're gonna do some stuff, gonna be some physical challenges, we're gonna have some time to go out, hang out, have some drinks, and it's gonna be all that. But it wasn't like that at all. So I was just open to the opportunity. If this is how I was gonna meet my wife and it happened on a freaking dating show on ABC, then great. It wasn't too long after that I got there that I was like, yeah, this is not it. But I'm still gonna stay on as long as I can. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Boy, you better than me. I couldn't be on there trying to prove my love to with 30 other dudes. Like, every night I got to prove my love. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you get cut pretty quickly. So there's dudes getting sliced every week. So and after a while, bro, it was like they would say, "I think you guys like spending more time with each other than you do with Rachel," and it wasn't really not true. Like we was bonding, we was playing cards, like we was having a good time.
They were like, "Screw Rachel, man. We're gonna get drinks after this."
Rachel was cool though. Shout out to Rachel. She was cool.
Shout out to Rachel, but at that time it was like, "Hey, we about to play some spades real quick. get this dice game popping.
I'm going on this date. I'll be back. Don't you look at my cards. I know what I got."
Oh man. So look, man, what's next for Kenny King, man? Do you have any projects that you're working on? Anything big? I know that you're doing training and stuff right now, but what's next for the King?
I mean, I'm training. I train with FSW, Future Stars of Wrestling. I think we are the premier school on the West Coast. No shade to anybody else. Shout out to guys like Santino and what those guys got going on. But shout out to the what was it? It's Arizona Championship Wrestling. I think they do.
Yeah.
And Gallo, they run a good school. But as far as like what FSW brings to the table, man, I feel like it's just we teach you how to be on TV. We teach you production. We teach you entrances, promos.
I think we got kind of lost Kenny for a second.
Give it a second. You may come back on.
It always pauses on an unflattering picture, don't it?
Y'all need to fix your internet over there on the West Coast, man.
Hey, man, it's a lot of people pulling at the same time. You know what I mean? The city's got to get over mountains and stuff, man. It's a lot,
Yeah. We're going to give it a second, see if we can get Kenny King back on here. But it's been a great interview so far. And, man, it's so good to be able to chop it up with this man. I haven't seen him. I think we just lost him a little bit.
He'll come back. But I was very interested about the whole Bachelor thing. I was like, I don't know if I could be one of 30. You know what I'm saying? Like, after she get off a date with somebody and the date went good, she done kissed the dude, and they're like, all right, Brian, you up next. Next is your date. I'm like, she just got fondled on the last date. I know you.
Did you brush your teeth when you kissed her? Like, I want to kiss after you.
Yeah, I'm not kissing after you. In your sloppy seconds. You in the same room as me. I know you ain't brushed your teeth this morning. See, I couldn't do it. I couldn't be on The Bachelor. I couldn't be on no dating show, nothing like that, man. I'm just a little funny at it like that. Oh man. Yeah, I couldn't do it. But like, yeah, I couldn't do The Bachelor. 30 dudes, bro. That's a lot. Could you be on The Bachelor? Like, if you had a whole show just for you, could you be on The Bachelor, like The Bachelor, and have like 30 women that you had to choose from back in your heyday? I know you got the love of your life right now, but back in your heyday,
I got the perfect one now. I got the perfect one. But, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought about it. I've actually thought about it. I was like, I would love to be on that show, like just give it a chance. But I was like, I would have a ridiculous headache. You gotta think about it. Like you're sitting with this one and you're vibing, and then you get with the next one, and then you're not vibing, and you got to deal with whatever she got going on. He was like, all right, I'm ready for this to be done because I'm ready to get rid of you. And then you get with the next one, and then you feel like you're vibing until later on she started acting great. Like it's just too much, too many factors, too many energy, man. I'm an alien, bro. I can't deal with too much of these human energies all around at the same time. Like that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah. I can dudes that deal with multiple women at the same time. God bless you. I couldn't do it. I only need one. I'm
gonna be 100 with you. Back in the day. Long time ago. Long. That's what you gotta do. One here, and keep it separate and keep my mind focused and everything else. But man, after a while, you be like, all right, let me look at my calendar. Okay, I got this one on Wednesday. All right, she on Tuesday. Oh shoot, I'm gonna book 2 on Tuesday. All right.
Damn, I got Cheryl and Jennifer on the same day. What am I doing?
I got wait. Okay, I got 3 Kims now. Which one is which?
Which one is Kim? One of them Kims got stinking breath. I don't know about this Kim. Yeah, see, that's too much to keep up with. Too much to joke.
And then you got to figure out like who has allergies. So you can't take this one or this restaurant because she got allergies. You got to remember that.
She allergic to shrimp.
Took someone to the movie and you like, okay, baby, we want to go see this movie. Like, we saw it already. You right.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody who can balance multiple partners. I ain't the one. I can't. I'll be forgetting people's names too much.
Right. I got the perfect one now. We good. We happy. We excited about life. Just man, listen. Yeah, I'm good. I don't need 50-11 of them. I don't need 3 Kims. I got one lead.
Just got one lead. That's it. Oh man. Well, listen, man, we had a great interview with the one and only Kenny King, man. He was able to talk about his wrestling career coming up and Tough Enough, being on The Bachelor, being on the hit television show on Nickelodeon, My Brother and Me, and much more, man. So make sure that you guys go back and check out the rest of this interview. And more than likely, we'll have Kenny King back on the show, man. Great guest, positive brother, man. And we're looking forward to more stuff from the one and only Kenny King.
Absolutely.
Roosevelt, man, what you got going on, man?
Man, right now I'm packing, bro.
Packing.
Packing up the house. Packing up the house. You gotta be specific when you say certain things. I'm forget. We're in 2024. I'm packing up the house. I'm packing up. There he is. He's jumping back on right now. Here we go. King.
The King is back.
Didn't realize that my phone was not charging.
Oh, it's all right, man. It's all right.
It's all good, King. Well, look, when you left, Roosevelt was talking junk about you. You know what I'm saying? He said he said all kind of stuff about one of your aunties. So
give me one example of what I say. Tell me one thing that he said. Huh?
It won't positive. Anyway, he always got some beef with everybody on the show, man. And so we got this segment on the show that allows you to do some back and forth banter, man. So we're going to do a promo battle between you and Roosevelt. It's going to be a slobber knocker for the ages. It's going to get bloody in here. Beautiful people, prepare yourself because we are going to war. All right. Roosevelt, you got who you going first, or you gonna let Mr. King destroy you?
Let the King go ahead and go and drop his gems.
All right. King, you got up first.
All right. Well, in case you don't know, or in case you just slow, my name is Kenny K-I-N-G King. And for the better part of his career, Mr. Roosevelt Connors has been walking in my footsteps. He's been picking up my cheesecake from Junior's. He's been fetching my bag, walking my bag around. So just because you got green eyes don't mean you can go there. When you see me coming, you bend the knee. When you see K-I-N-G coming, you pay your respect. Because from here to North Carolina, everything you've done, I see you just went to Europe to go hone your skills, man. You just walking in my footsteps. Did you see my statue when I was there? So from here on, when you see me, all you do is bend the knee and salute your K-I-N-G.
That's the gun smoking. Pow, pow.
Put that away.
Yeah, hit him with some body shots. That was some stiff body shots from the King. Kenny King, man. Oh, man, Roosevelt, what you got to say about that?
Is this your king? Is this your king? Because for the longest that I've known you, you don't look like royalty to me. You look like the guy that's been trying his hardest to stay at the top of the mountain, but realizing that on the back of your neck wasn't the wind. The back of your neck wasn't the rain. On the back of your neck was me, that fire-breathing, green-eyed dragon. Letting you know your spot, your kingdom, your throne does not belong to you. You're not my king. You're just the next man, the next step, the next obstacle for me to let the world know, and to remind you that I'm Roosevelt and I like to fight.
All right. Book that.
Somebody
Yeah,
book it. Somebody book it.
book it, damn it. Book that ASAP. Oh man, great promo battle from the one and only Kenny King and Roosevelt. Man, listen, I put my money on it. Damn it, you in Vegas? I bet on it. I bet on it.
They'll take your
Oh
money.
man, yeah, take all my money.
They'll take it, no question. They'll take it.
Oh man, Kenny King. Let the beautiful people know what you got going on and
Oh
where
man,
can they
right
find
now, right now I'm doing what I want to do. Right, it's the first time in 14 years that I haven't been under contract. So I'm wrestling who I want to wrestle, where I want to wrestle, however I want to do it. I'm involved with a company right now, a really good up and coming company called ACW, All Caribbean Wrestling. We're doing shows all in the Caribbean. So we did a show in the Bahamas, which was sell out. We just did a show in Kingston, Jamaica, and then we're going back to the Bahamas next month. There's it's FEW in Florida is kind of like the the sister company to it. But I mean, we've just got it's an amazing roster. Mark Henry is very much he's our general manager and he's involved in the office. The Pope is involved. Myself, Lindsay Dorado, Jay Rios, Maserati. We just got a whole bunch of dope athletes. The Kentish brothers, the Russell twins. Like, we've got a whole bunch of dope athletes that are just right there, ready to give. These countries that they love wrestling. The Caribbean people, they love pro wrestling. So for us to go there and give them a show with a bunch of people that looks like them, they love it. They eat it up. It's been a very amazing venture so far. I look forward to. We were supposed to do Guyana, which is my place. I Guyanese man, but we might get to Guyana next year. But I'm excited with what we got going on there, and that's kind of what's happening right now. ACW, All Caribbean Wrestling. Check it out. It's dope.
Oh man, do y'all serve plates after the matches? Well, I'll
That's
go
not a
to a
bad
show right
idea.
now, boy.
That's not a bad idea to have curry
That's
chicken,
not a
curry
bad
goat, and
idea.
jerk chicken
Boy,
plates.
you have a food truck in the
Right?
back, and some
Uh-huh.
curry, some goat, and some oxtails.
Get some
Boy,
curry goat
I'm
with your
trying to tell you.
ticket. You know what I'm saying? You sit down with your plate, eat wrestling. Oh,
What?
we missing out on money.
Take my money right now, damn it. I got $50 on it. Oh man.
Look, just have cookies and milk for me. I'll be backstage, get ready for my match. Just cookies and milk. I don't need all that. Just
Man, you worry about
problem
cookies and
is,
milk. I'm trying to get some meat pies. You up here talking about cookies and milk.
the problem is I'm gonna be back there with the oxtail trying to call my match and put my match together with the oxtail. Like, okay, all right.
That's right. You can cheat, man. You can flick some curry goat in somebody's eye. Just yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, listen, man. We like to do this thing at the end of each and every show where we give a little bit of motivation, a word of advice, a quote, something to get people through their week and through their day. We call this segment "Final Word." So, Kenny King, do you have a final word for your beautiful subjects?
Yeah, man. It can look real sideways sometimes. It could look real dark. It could look all kinds of ways. But just remember that God will provide. It may not be the clearest of all paths. It may still have a whole bunch of sticks and stones on it, but He will provide a way through. And you just got to keep trucking, man. One of my best friends, he's a football coach in Florida, and his number one thing to say is, man, just keep chopping wood. Just get up every day, sharpen your axe, and keep chopping wood. And so keep chopping wood, man. You never know. You just never know when what that next day can have for you.
Absolutely. Keep on chopping wood. That is a great word from our king, Kenny King. Yeah, that's the only king I recognize, Roosevelt. Got something to say? Bust you in your mouth. Roosevelt, do you have a final word for the beautiful people?
Yes, absolutely. My final word is sit down and shut up.
Mm.
Sit down and shut up. We get so wrapped up in wanting something so bad that we sit and we start saying, why not? Why isn't it here for me now? Why is it taking so long? Why do I have to go through these obstacles? Why do I have to go through all these tests? Why is this person getting all these great things and they're a horrible individual? Just sit down and shut up. Because you just never know what is being worked out for you. And when it comes for you, is nothing that's going to be able to stop it. It's nothing going to be able to take it away. So stop asking questions. Stop complaining. Stop looking at the next person about what they have and what you don't have. Just sit down and shut up. It's coming.
Man, you made me feel like I was 5 years old. Sit down and shit. Oh, man. That was the final word from the one and only Roosevelt. Beautiful people, if I had to leave you guys with a final word, I would have to say that discipline paves the road to success. I'll say that again. Discipline paves the road to success. A lot of times, you ever find yourself wanting something, and you're like, man, like you just mentioned, oh man, I want this. Why I don't have it? Why? Or I can't get this now. But the thing is, sometimes we are not in position. We're not in position to receive the blessings that God has for us. You know what I'm saying? And it might be a little thing, like for instance, me and my wife last year, we wanted to have a baby, but we wasn't in the right place to be able to welcome an addition to our home. And then we moved into our new home. Now we had the space. Then we just got married, and then we had a baby after that. So although what we wanted was a baby, it wasn't the right time. We wasn't in position to receive that. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you have to put yourself in position to receive the blessings that God has for you, and stop worrying about other people and their blessings, because sometimes other people's blessings might be a curse to you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? We all seen that girl that was fine as hell back in the day. We never wondered why she didn't have a boyfriend. She crazy as hell. She could have drove you crazy. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, sometimes you have to put yourself in position to be able to receive your blessings. So discipline paves the road to success. Just be disciplined in the things that you want. If you want to lose weight or stay in shape, you have to exert some discipline. If you want to be a good father or a good husband, you have to exert discipline in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? So just be disciplined, man. Stay down. You know what I'm saying? Stay strong. And keep on walking until you reach that success. That is the final word from your boy, Brian Renegade. I got high on that one.
Good word.
Oh, man. Kenny King, you were a great guest, my friend. Thank you so much for being on this platform, taking the time out, man. We really appreciate you sitting down and chopping it up with boys, man. You're welcome to join the show anytime, and we would love to have you back on here, man. You're one of the alumni of the show. We've done had some of your partners on the show. You know what I'm saying? Rick Titus been on here.
We had both of them, Caprice and Red. We had Caprice and Red Titus up here.
Okay, that's my dog. That's my dogs right there.
Yeah. So you part of the alumni. So if we ever need to assemble the Avengers, you are part of the squad. You know what I'm saying?
Just flash a crown in the sky. I'll be there.
There's gonna flash a crown in the sky, and the king will be there. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Oh man, listen, I want you to help me end the show. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. So I'm going to say, we will see you next week on the next best. I'm going to point to you, and I want you to say damn. But I want you to give me a damn that only the king can give. Beat from your bowels. You know what I'm saying? So you got me. One of them Ron Simmons like dams.
That's the first thing that came to my mind. So
yeah, one of them deep Ron Simmons dams. All right. Got that you can only get from the king. All right. Beautiful people, we will see you next week on the next best. Woo! That was good. That was good right there. We need that soundbite. Wrestling podcast. Kenny King. Oh man, thank you for being up here, my friend. We got to do this one more again.
I'll be down. I'll be down. Just let me know when.
My man.
Hopefully, when we do it again, it'll be in preparation of or after you and I step in the square circle.
Hey man, just call somebody to book them. Tell them to send me a plane ticket. I'll be there.
Cut the check.
Tell them cut the check. Send me a ticket. I'll be there.
Hey, you guys
have bags
going
and
on in heaven right now?
travel.
Travel, hotel, food, per diem. You know what I'm saying? All that.
I got Curry Goat in my rider, so you know what I mean. You on that thing.
Absolutely.
Oh man. Well, thank you for joining the show, my friends. Beautiful people. We can't hold you no longer. You can check us out on all platforms on Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast, you can listen to the boys on the Best Damn Wrestling podcast. Shout out to everybody in Brussels, Paris, Australia, London, all those places that listen to the boys at the Best Damn Wrestling podcast. We appreciate y'all. You could be doing anything in the world, but you're here listening to us, and we love you like step cousins. Beautiful people, we will see you next week. We bid you adieu.